Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're moving beyond just marketing campaigns, really talking pure strategy. We're strapping on our helmets, heading onto the field, you could say, and focusing on a very specific strategic play.
Yeah,
How to leverage account-based marketing ABM events as a critical tool, not just for chats, but to drive real revenue and, crucially, deepen those executive relationships.
Yeah, and this is super timely, isn't it?
It really is,
Right.
especially because we have to consider, the context of AI just rapidly accelerating in pretty much all digital marketing channels.
That's absolutely right. So our mission for you, the listener, is really to move past the sort of logistics of event planning. We want to dissect the ABM events blueprint as a strategy.
Okay.
We're looking at events not as like calendar admin, but as these meticulously planned, sometimes high-stakes maneuvers.
Right.
We want to show you how to execute events before, during, and after that are way more than just meet and greets. They need to be, well, certified, measurable, deal drivers.
And framing this as a play is so important, I think. We aren't talking about, throwing spaghetti at the wall here.
No, definitely not.
An ABM play. It's like the analogy from sports, right? American football comes to mind. It's a strategy. It's documented, it's tested, refined based on data. It's designed to, advance progress, maintain control of the conversation, and ultimately set up that scoring opportunity, the touchdown. So this deep dive is about making events that precise, that impactful.
And precision, it's never been more urgent for marketers, really.
Okay, let's unpack that then. Why are these high-touch human events suddenly so critical right now? When AI is making content creation, communication, all that stuff so fast and scalable.
Well, it's kind of the paradox of this AI era, isn't it? Think about it. Inboxes, research summaries, even those initial outreach calls, they're increasingly being summarized or, frankly, generated by AI.
The noise level is just going up.
Exponentially. And the value of, let's say, transferable information is actually declining because a machine can often deliver it faster. So events, they become this gold dust opportunity.
Gold dust.
Yeah. They're the essential chance to reinforce the real human connection you're trying to build through your ABM efforts.
So the goal shifts. It's not just about conveying information anymore because AI can do that.
Yeah.
It's about establishing what trust, shared experience.
Exactly. Because AI can summarize your deck, sure, but it can't summarize a trusted conversation. It can't replicate that feeling in the room.
Makes sense.
Events become the critical anchor for the whole ABM strategy. They prove your relevance, they deepen relationships, especially with those decision makers who are, let's face it, the hardest to reach digitally.
So the event itself needs to deliver something unsummarizable.
That's a great way to put it. Exclusive insights, maybe collaborative problem solving right there in the room, or that peer-to-peer validation, things that genuinely require human presence.
Okay, that distinction is really key. This isn't about mass reach, high footfall, scanning badges at a huge trade show.
Not at all.
You need surgical precision. The goal is creating these memorable moments that actually shift a key stakeholder's perception of your brand, and maybe even boost their urgency to act.
Spot on.
But let's be real for a second. This bespoke, personalized approach, it sounds expensive. What's the calculated risk there? Allocating high-value resources, executive time, budget to an account that might still be, a bit cold.
Well, that's the strategic filter you absolutely have to apply. Your budgeting time, remember, not just dollars. An ABM event play. It's only really justified when it targets those high-potential, engaged accounts.
Okay.
Maybe where the digital conversation has sort of stalled or where you just need that relationship momentum to push a complex deal forward. You're basically trading volume for velocity.
Can you maybe illustrate that? Give us a high-value account example.
Sure. Let's say you've got an account, they've been engaging with your content, right? Downloading white papers, maybe a senior exec connected with your CEO on LinkedIn. Pretty warm signals. And you know this account is attending a major industry conference next month.
Okay, so the standard mass marketing approach would be that generic email blast, hey, come see us at booth number 12.
Exactly. But the ABM play, totally different. You use your insight data. Maybe you know this specific executive is really wrestling with supply chain resiliency right now.
Okay. Specific context.
Right. So instead of that generic message, you launch a little mini campaign just for them, inviting them to a bespoke dinner. And crucially, the dinner isn't hosted by sales. It's hosted by your CTO.
Interesting.
And you've carefully curated the guest list, maybe just a handful of their industry peers, people facing similar shared challenges. The focus. Purely perspective and problem solving. No pitches, no product demos.
But your goal is just to be the helpful organizer.
That's it. You're building intimacy, trust, shared context. It completely shifts the dynamic.
Yeah, it moves it from vendor-client to more like peer-to-peer collaboration.
Precisely. And that's how the best ABM events work. They align directly with the foundations of your account strategy, the messaging you've already developed, the collateral. They serve as either catalyst for brand new conversations or accelerants for conversations already in motion.
So they slot right into the ABM cycle strategically. Can you maybe expand on the different functions? You mentioned 3 distinct ways an ABM event can serve. These feel like more than just types of events. They sound like strategic categories.
They absolutely are. Think of it in 3 main ways these events function within that ABM framework.
Okay.
First, they act as anchors. You build your ABM awareness activity around these larger events. Say there's a flagship industry conference, and you know it's relevant for a cluster of maybe 20 target accounts.
Right.
The event itself becomes the central theme, the hook, for all your personalized pre-conference content aimed just at those accounts. You're using the event date to get targeted, relevant material in front of them.
Got it. So that's anchors. What's next?
Second, they are conversion moments. Now, these are designed explicitly to educate and influence those high-intent accounts that are already, somewhere in your pipeline.
Okay, much more focused.
Much more. This is where you might run a highly bespoke executive roundtable, really exclusive, account-personalized messaging, probably in an intimate setting, and the conversion. It's measured by the next specific step taken, like agreeing to a solution scoping session.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the third function?
And third, they function as platforms. This is all about launching or reinforcing your credibility, your reputation, your point of view in the market.
Thought leadership territory.
Exactly. Hosting a highly themed peer forum, for instance, it establishes you not just as a vendor, but as a thought leader, maybe even a market shaper. This attracts accounts who value partnership and foresight, not just, product specs.
Okay, 3 clear functions: anchors, conversion moments, platforms. Now, if we're not tracking volume, the number of attendees, how do we measure success for these precision events? What metrics really matter to that ABM director?
Yeah, we have to really reinforce the core philosophy here. It is absolutely quality over quantity.
Right.
As we saw in the sources, ABM event metrics focus almost entirely on the engagement and interactions with those high-value accounts, not sheer volume.
Okay.
We're measuring the impact on the 3 R's of ABM. Remember those? Reputation, did the event improve their perception of us? Relationships, did we manage to engage a new high-level stakeholder, someone we couldn't reach before? And revenue, did this interaction actually accelerate the deal stage?
So every interaction has to map back to one of those R's: reputation, relationships, or revenue.
You got it. Every single one.
Okay, that brings us nicely to the actual execution blueprint then.
Right.
We've established the why these events matter and the what to measure. Now, how do we actually run this strategic play successfully?
Right. So effective ABM event plays, they absolutely must be treated as a kind of mini campaign. And that requires meticulous planning across 3 equally important parts: before, during, and after. You absolutely have to commit to all 3 phases. Skipping one is like, preparing the perfect football play, but then deciding not to run the ball.
Right. The follow-through is everything. Let's start with phase 1, the before that pre-event planning. This is the setup, right, where we pressure test the why.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And the very first step here is intentional account selection. You're not just spraying invites out there.
No mass emails.
No. You narrow it down using your engagement data. Which high-value accounts have shown recent high-intent behavior? Maybe they downloaded a competitive analysis, or, there's been a recent org change. This ensures the event is actually the right channel for the specific use case you're pursuing, whether it's awareness, relationship building, or deal acceleration for that specific account.
So the ABM data literally informs the guest list from the get-go. Okay, account selected. How do we craft the invite so it cuts through all that AI-generated noise we talked about?
Personalization here is it's non-negotiable. You have to make these invitees feel like genuine VIPs, prove you've done your homework.
How specifically?
Well, you tailor messages directly from the account executive or maybe the SDR. You reference the account's unique context, maybe a recent public challenge they faced or success they announced. You make it crystal clear why this specific event is exactly right for them right now. That personalized value proposition needs to be almost impossible to ignore.
Okay, but these senior execs, they're famously busy. How do you manage that process? Securing their attendance, And maybe more importantly, preventing those last-minute cancellations.
Yeah, that's always a challenge. You use what we call layered touch points and momentum builders. You can't just rely on one email.
Right.
You might reach out across LinkedIn, email, maybe even high-impact direct mail, if it makes sense. Crucially, it needs to be sequential messaging that clearly outlines the value of replying, not just attending.
And momentum builders, what are those?
Things like insight teasers related to the event topic, maybe early access content, or even a short personalized video from the event host, like the CTO in our earlier example. It creates anticipation, not obligation. And don't start engaging just because they RSVP'd. That's a common mistake. Light touch reminders that reinforce the value, maybe share a link to the cool venue or preview another peer who's attending, that really helps prevent those frustrating ghosting moments.
Got it. Okay, that's the before sorted. Now, phase 2, during, at the event itself, the big day arrives. The goal here is purposeful, helpful, moving beyond slide decks and demos to build a real two-way conversation.
Yeah, the absolute core philosophy is creating an experience that leaves every single attendee feeling like their time was exceptionally well spent. We've all been there, right? Those boardroom roundtables where someone just drones on.
Oh, yeah. Painful.
The risk of boring 10 high-value executives is massive. That's why designing for participation isn't just nice to have, it's an existential requirement for this kind of play.
So how do we actually execute that shift? What are the key tips for maximizing that value exchange during the event?
Okay, first, focus rigidly on helping, not selling. The discussion theme must be a complex industry challenge they all care about, not your product features. Leave the pitch deck at home.
Okay, less selling, more helping.
Second, design for structured participation. This usually means significantly fewer slides and much more moderated conversation. Get a skilled moderator in there who can ensure every executive in the room contributes and, importantly, feels heard. Third, bring in your subject matter experts, SMEs. Specifically from product or strategy, not just sales. These SMEs build deeper trust and can spark those complex, nuanced conversations that, frankly, AI just cannot replicate.
Good point. What else?
Fourth, curate the room. Not just beforehand with the invites, but during the event too. Be mindful of the dynamic. You absolutely want 10 truly engaged executives who are aligned with your account focus, not 100 passive passersby who just dilute the conversation and the value.
Quality over quantity again.
Always. And finally, something really powerful mentioned in the sources. Embrace serendipity.
Embrace serendipity. How do you engineer serendipity? Isn't that spontaneous?
Well, you can't force it, but you can create the conditions for it. Build space into the agenda for informal chats, side conversations, sometimes, a personalized coffee chat between an attendee and one of your SMEs, where they can quickly address a very specific challenge that account is facing right now that can deliver more value than the main keynote.
Ah, I see. Make room for those no-pressure talks.
Exactly. It's an explicit design choice. You're fostering genuine connection, not just running through an agenda.
Fantastic. Okay, we've successfully navigated the event. Momentum is high, connections were made. Now, phase 3, after the post-event strategy. This is where historically you see a lot of ABM campaigns kind of fizzle out.
Oh, absolutely. And this phase is mandatory. It's critical to ensure the value is sustained and all that effort wasn't wasted. Rule number 1, follow up fast. We're talking within 24 to 48 hours, max. While the memory, the feeling of the event is still fresh, and it needs to be personalized notes, maybe curated content.
And this follow-up, it has to be informed by the ABM data, right? We can't just send a generic, thanks for coming email to everyone.
Absolutely not. You must immediately reference something specific, maybe a known challenge documented in their ABM account plan, or a point they raised during the discussion. Prove that the conversation they had was directly relevant to their strategic goals.
Right.
And share something of specific value. Maybe it's a framework that was mentioned during the roundtable, or a personalized summary note highlighting their specific contribution, or just a concise insight recap from the session. This reinforces your position as a helpful strategic partner, not just someone trying to sell them something.
This sounds like it requires really tight sales marketing alignment post-event. What does that debrief actually look like?
It has to be immediate. Marketing and sales need to sit down right away and debrief the attendee list. You segment those attendees rigorously based on their engagement level during the event.
How so?
Who showed maybe just passive interest, who actively shared a specific challenge, who introduced you to a colleague. Getting that clarity is essential.
Okay.
Then you set crystal clear next steps. Who needs nurturing via a specialized content track based on their interests? Who seemed ready for a deeper conversation, maybe with the VP of sales? Establishing who engages when and with what message is absolutely key to keeping that momentum going.
Right. Assigning those actions clearly.
Yeah.
And finally, you mentioned we should extend the experience.
Yes. This is often overlooked. Let's say your key contact mentioned during the event, gosh, I wish my colleagues in procurement or engineering could have heard this. Make that value shareable. Repurpose the key insights, maybe some anonymized quotes or the frameworks discussed. Turn them into ABM campaign assets targeted specifically at the wider account team.
So you spread the impact.
Exactly. It builds engagement beyond just the people who are in the room and reinforces that positive halo effect from the event across the entire account.
That entire three-part blueprint, before, during, after, just makes so much sense when you lay it out like that. To really bring this home, let's look at that real-world example you mentioned, the one moving from talk to actual transformation. AVEV, the industrial software leader, and the pharma giant GSK.
Yeah, this is a great case study. AVEVA executed a highly focused one-to-one ABM approach. They didn't just rely on digital cold calls or generic marketing.
Right.
Instead, they strategically used these kinds of executive engagements, tailored invitations to exclusive forums as absolutely key touch points. These events weren't random. They were specifically engineered to align with GSK's known future vision, creating these critical moments of connection and trust that, frankly, traditional outreach just couldn't achieve.
And the outcome. That really provides the proof point for why this level of precision matters so much, doesn't it?
It really does. This strategic, relationship-led approach completely transformed the relationship. It went from purely transactional, vendor supplying software to genuine strategic collaboration. And that opened the door to a massive multi-solution opportunity worth a staggering £7 million.
Wow. £7 million.
That is undeniable proof, isn't it? When events are targeted, when they're personalized, when they're meticulously aligned to those 3 R's, reputation, relationships, and revenue, they are not peripheral marketing activities. They are definitive deal drivers.
So wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you, the listener, as you maybe draft your next strategy?
I think the main takeaway is pretty clear. In a world where AI options are just increasing the efficiency of information delivery, these ABM events deliver something AI can't. Human authenticity. That's what high-value relationships are built on.
When they're well-timed, considered with real relevance, and executed using that 3-part blueprint we discussed, they become the key way to reinforce those crucial human relationships you're already building with your most strategic accounts.
They really are the essential human edge in an increasingly digitized world.
This has been an incredible deep dive into event strategy. We've really covered the importance of precision, personalization, and that crucial need to treat the entire event lifecycle before, during, and after as a focused mini-campaign, not just, a date on the calendar.
Absolutely. And maybe here is the final provocative thought for you to consider as you think about your own resource allocation going forward. Given that AI is increasing the scale and efficiency of digital communication, and events provide that essential human connection that AI simply cannot replicate, how will the growing scarcity of genuine face-to-face interaction affect how we allocate resources? Will these high-value, bespoke ABM events actually become the single most strategic and potentially, yes, the most expensive asset in the entire marketing budget? Precisely because only they can reliably deliver that unsummarizable trust.
That is definitely something to think about as you draft your next ABM play. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.